push-ups. I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
Hi, everyone. Welcome in to the Ysn Power Hour for this Thursday, Cinco de Mayo, the 5th of May here, pardon me, here in 2022. An interesting way to start the day, a tough way to start the day. And if you're just catching up, maybe you're just getting out of work, obviously some, I don't want to break the bad news to you, but a tragedy today in Louisville. As the news keeps coming out, we are going to lean on our partners at Channel 21 WFMJ to give you the most up-to-date information on the situation as it unfolds. They've got a very helpful graphic right now up on their social media site on Channel 21 WFMJ, again on Facebook, about what they know to this point. And we're not going to dive back into that. We feel like we've addressed it. Our thoughts and prayers are undoubtedly with Louisville today, the community, the families, the students, the administration, the teachers, certainly, and everybody involved. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. Our hearts are with you, and we're all rocket strong today. And anything that we can do as a YSN piece of that puzzle to help out any part of that situation, we're going to do so. But we see it as our job, our duty to address it. And now it's our duty to get people back to hopefully a little bit of regularity in their day, especially here on the Power Hour. Anthony and Ty did a fantastic job during the 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock hour, handling that. And hopefully we can give you a little piece of normalcy here on this absolutely incredibly tragic and sad Thursday here in the Mahoning Valley. So with that, got a lot to talk about today on the show. There was walk-offs last night. There was great softball and baseball being played all over the valley. I feel like the roof's going to fall on my head. There's somebody on the roof right now, I think, trying to fix it. And I don't know. I feel like it's going to be one of those situations you see in TV and in movies where people just come through. You see 2 feet come through the roof. If that happens, I'm going to take you through it. We're going to do it live here on the Power Hour. So just beware. We might go Audible or Omaha here in the next 45 or 50 minutes or so. But before we do any of that, let's make sure we get to one of the favorite segments for some here on the Power Hour. And the thing that gets us kicked off, it is On This Day in Sports History. Here we go. On this day in sports history in 1904, Cy Young, yes, I said 1904, and I also said Cy Young, pitches the first perfect game in modern baseball history as the Boston Americans beat the Philadelphia Athletics 3-0. Cy Young, that's obviously a very heavy name that comes with a lot of clout, and obviously the award that every pitcher wants to win, because that means more dollars, more opportunities, and it is coveted as being the top pitcher of the entire year, which got me thinking, in this area, if we were to give out trophies like Lombardies, right? The Super Bowl champion in the NFL gets the Lombardi trophy. it the Larry O'Brien Trophy in basketball, I believe? I think it's just the Commissioner's Trophy in baseball, isn't it? Something like that. Regardless, who would you want those names that are just valley names attached to with championship trophies? The Hunt Trophy for the AFC, obviously a longtime contributor with the Chiefs, owner, I believe, of the Chiefs, still in the family. I'm interested. There's a lot of names. When you start thinking about this, Golden Gloves used to be a big thing, and I heard they're coming back. To me, it's got to be one of two guys. It's got to be Boom Boom or Kelly. I like the Boom Boom Mancini, but Kelly being a near and dear friend of mine, I can see and what he's done for this community, what he's done for so many. The Pavlik Punch-Out Trophy, I like it. I can get behind it. But football, especially football, because as we talk on this show all the time, football rules the roost here. What names would you want to see on a football trophy if there was one Valley championship to give out? Would it be the Trestle? I like it. I like it a lot. I can see so many coaches and players being flooded with, support for something like this. Coach Anarella, another great one. My personal vote, if Coach Trestle doesn't get a vote, my vote goes to Coach Dan Yeagley for all that he's done, not only on the field, and I think that the trophy should have to be lockstep with what it represents, right? So Coach Yeagley, to me, does so much on the field, but so much off the field. So it has to be a trophy that represents almost like a Walter Payton Award. And, what have you done off the field that has made somebody's life a little bit better? And how have you contributed on the field? Whether it be coaching standpoint, player standpoint, just a contribution standpoint. I would love to see that. I'd love to see that. There's so many coaches that you could attach this to, players as well. Athletes, you can attach this to. I want to hear from you. I want to know, what trophy would you give out? What would the trophy symbolize? And what name would you add to the bottom of that trophy and why? Hit us up in the chat box, wherever you are at, whether it be Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, or on ysnlive.com. Funny study on what we're trying to do, because we graph everything, right? We have statistics that show us everything. So I thought the most people watched us on Facebook, and I was dead wrong. The most people actually watch us on our website, and that goes for Running Point, Casual Sports Podcast, and the Power Hour. The only problem with that, and trust me, I appreciate it because you're on our website. Anytime you're on our website, I'm very, very appreciative. The problem with watching these shows on the website is you can't interact. And my wife will tell me that that's why she watches it on the website, because she can't interact and object with all the dumb things that I say. Just in real life, can she do that? And she loves doing that. I love you, honey. But it's an opportunity to get involved, get in the conversation. We want to hear from you. We want to talk with you. So if you are one of those people who are on ysnlive.com, make sure that you engage. I don't care where you engage us from. I mean, again, Facebook, Instagram, or no, not Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And of course, you can text me as well. That's always an opportunity to get in touch with us here at YSN, is just direct, straight contact. Let's get to the comment section as it is. My vote goes for Billy Price, says Nikki C. My vote goes for Billy Price. All right. I can see that. And Billy is obviously a Fitch graduate, Ohio State graduate, and has done so much in the NFL, both on and off the field. Uh, would love to have him on the show and talk about what he's done on both sides of that coin. And Nikki, that's a great pick. Great pick. And that's a calculated pick. See, Nick's a real smart guy. Real smart guy. Am I ever going to get rid of this cough? Maybe this delicious Chad Miller blackout berry body armor will do the trick to get rid of this cough. And no, I would never self-promote. Product placement. Wait, I got to get this right. Is this Vanna White style here? So you got to see me. Oh, wait, there it is. Talk about a hole-in-one. That brought to you by Body Armor, a division of Coca-Cola. I would, I don't know. There's so many of them. There's so many of them out there. I would love to see get acknowledged for what they've done here in the Valley. Speaking of, big dogs of the Valley are up. They're up. They're ready to go. They are open until Monday this time. So we wanted to give you a little bit of extra time because of the holiday on Sunday. By the way, husbands, sons, daughters, it is Mother's Day. It is Mother's Day. And it is not too late to go get your mom or significant other a present, because that's what Mother's Day is. And it might just be the presence of being present, right? Some of us need to just slow down. I'm one of them. Slow down, pump the brakes. Maybe give mama a day off from the kids, a day off, an hour off, 20 minutes off, 5 minutes off. My wife is smiling ear to ear, undoubtedly right now, knowing what's coming my way on Sunday. We're going to her mother's house, so joke's on her. Steve Hogan says, Coach Dan Wedding instills confidence, self-worth, motivation, is always there for his players. What he has done for these players on the field is obvious by Fitch's results. Could not agree more, Steve. Could not agree more. There's so many of those out there, though. How do you pick just one? How do you pick just one? It's a challenge. And especially with what McKenna has had, I'm sure, over the course of her years. Only a junior right now. Still trudging through that junior year with the anticipation of that senior year, but you still got work to do. But you ask McKenna, and I'm sure she's going to tell you, 800 coaches that have impacted her. And it's I hate saying that it's a problem, because it's not, because you want that many coaches to have that impact on you. But to have to pick one out, it's interesting. Like Cy Young, right? We talk about the Cy Young Award and how he was the first guy to throw a perfect game in modern day baseball. Imagine the Steve Ward Award. Wow, that actually sounds really good. The Steve Ward Award. Somebody needs to make that. We might make that. I would always be worried. Like if someone came and said, we're going to give the DJ Yoakley Award, I would always be worried that I'm not deserving in that honor, that manner, because like who couldn't argue right now that Cy Young is no longer the standard, right? Is it Max Scherzer? Is it Jacob deGrom? Is it, I mean, you can name, I'm going to say Roger Clemens. I don't know. Like that's one of the concerns I always have. And you know, when you get an award named after you, they can't exactly just take it away. They can't just strip the name off of it unless you do something bad. I mean, unless you got a Ric Flair situation going on. But in reality, it's all, I don't know, the word fickle. Am I using that right? Anthony would tell me if I'm using it right or not. It's It's all relevant. There's oh my God, is there a ginormous bug on this screen right now? And it is just hanging out, and it has got a stinger on it. I don't know what it is. I'm just going to keep talking and pretend it's not there. If it comes at me, I just want to, like, we're on live streaming right now. This thing could kill me. It's humongous, and it's just sitting on my screen, like, staring at me, like, eye to eye right now. This is not good. This is not good at all. I'm all by myself. No one is here to help me. I'm here, and listen, that thing's a monster. I can't even show. Here, see if I can. Why can't I? Look at that. Look at that thing. It's enormous. Look at the stinger on that thing. Look, and now it's moving. Look at that. Now that I've made you all sick, I'm not lying. I'm not fibbing to you. That thing's, and it's moving now. Now it's eyeing me up. Not usually afraid of bugs. That one, I don't know why. It just looks, it just got some FaceTime too on YSN. This show is derailed quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Very quickly. I'm just putting it on the record. If I die, that was the cause of it today. Nope. This is what we're going to do. You don't turn your back on me. He gone. Chop it up. I hope there's nothing important in this. That is a wasp. Well, it was a wasp. Dead. That's why we call it the Power Hour, B. You won't be messed with anybody anymore. That's it. He's still moving. Body armor's gonna. Gone. That's it. You guys just saw a live execution of a bee right here on Power Hour. A first of its kind. A little Texas justice here in Ohio. What just happened? That bee screwed everything up. That wasp screwed everything up, and now he's just twitching down there. And he's going to be twitching for a while because I won't finish him, dispose of him until the break, just so he can see what happens. Education, what happens when you mess with YSN. We are going to talk about some of those games that happened last night. The first one is the one that I was fortunate enough to be at, and that was the Canfield Cardinals and the Boardman Spartans doing absolute battle last night on Scene 3. And the Spartans had a incoming lawsuit from PETA. Yeah, I can see that coming. Bring it on, PETA. That thing had it coming. Boardman had a 2-0 lead last night. It was incredible. And Gavin Hyde was dealing, as was Landon Beidelshees. And it's interestingly enough, and it's a comparison to the wasp I just killed, but Boardman, they're young, right? They're young. They do have seniors. I'm not going to say that they don't, but they're young. They're lacking that experience, but what they lack in experience, they have in swagger, and they have in extreme talent. And almost they were mere outs away from sweeping Canfield. And I thought it was so interesting that they got to Landon a little bit. And I don't know what it was. I don't know. Because Landon was in control. I mean, you talk about swagger. He was swaggy and fresh. And it was just, they were just picking at him. picking at him throughout the day, throughout the evening, and it was an interesting situation because Beitelshees, who already has recorded a perfect game, already has a no-hitter, 2 no-hitters. No. Well, perfect game and a no-hitter. To his record, it's interesting because Boardman didn't back away. They didn't step down. They didn't even budge. They just kept bringing it and bringing it and bringing it. And as strong as Beitelshees looked, we talk about that sidewalk, right? It's smooth. It looks good, but there's always those cracks. And Boardman was able to kind of slip through the cracks a little bit throughout the night and just get a run here and then a run here late. That really, those 2 runs felt like they were 50. It was a 2-0 game, but it felt like it was 8-0. That's what it felt like. And then the Canfield offense came alive at the end of it and were able to string some hits together, which they weren't doing throughout the game. They might get 1 or 2 back to back, and typically it was Havrilla and Beitelshees and Shaw. But nobody was there to push them around. It was tough because here's a little tidbit. If you didn't know, Gavin Hyde is pretty doggone good. He's pretty doggone good. We talk about a lot of pitchers around this area, and we give a lot of credit. And I'm going to showcase this young man. Gavin Hyde is a dude. He is a dude. And no matter who you are in that ballpark last night, you had to tip your cap to 34 for Boardman because he was dealing. I mean, he was a wheeling dealer, just absolutely slinging it. The breaking ball was working. Now the zone on both sides, got a little wide, got a little league strike zone going last night, but it was working for both sides. Canfield will argue that they got a little bit shorter to that stick, but Gavin was utilizing that. If you're outside, or if you're a right-handed hitter, it was the outside to a right-handed hitter. He was absolutely peppering that side of the plate. And the trouble was Landon is a lefty, and instead of trying to utilize that, he just kept going inside. He tried to use the other side of the plate, and that was right on the hands of the Bournemouth Spartans. Now, what he did do really well early that they got away from, and I don't know why, this would be a question for Landon or for Michael Patelis or maybe even for Coach Niddle or Coach Weimer, is the fastball was working. And Landon was blowing the fastball by these hitters at 93, 94 miles an hour last night, and his changeup was at 77. You think about that. Think about seeing a fastball at 94 and then a changeup at 77. The difference in that and how you have to learn to react. Slow your swing down, slow your step down, all of that. That is, ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason my guy has a no-hitter and a perfect game. A no-no and a perfecto. It's because he can pop the glove at 94 coming from that left side with a 6'4" frame, and he can also drop it down to 77 on you. I mean, you talk about pumping the brakes. That's almost unhittable. In fact, it was in two separate occasions. Last night, though, it was not. Last night, as we look to, I'm going to look to the box score here real quick. So Landon went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, 2 runs, 1 of them earned, struck out 12, and walked 2. Jake Gerdick, who came in to shut the door and ended up getting the victory, actually, went 1 inning, gave up 1 hit, and struck out 2. Walked nobody. On the other side, you got Gavin Hyde. He went 5, gave up 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned, walked 2, struck out 6. And then Griffin Widrig went 1 2/3 because of the walk-off. Gave up 4 hits, 1 run. It was earned. Struck out 3. There was nobody in that game last night, not one pitcher, that threw under 86 miles an hour. Just stop and think about that. They're breaking speed zone or speed records all over. I mean, they couldn't throw a baseball on 680 because it would break the speed limit. As a guy that never got over 75 miles an hour, 86 terrifies me. 86 it's impressive. And there were scouts last night. If you weren't there at the game, or even if you were, and you didn't know who those gentlemen were right behind home plate, the guys that were holding their phones up like this, had radar guns, those were professional scouts. And I'm interested because we see those more and more in this day and age in this area, and especially when they get a chance to see it happen at Ysn Park under the bright lights. To me, it's interesting because there were a slew of Cardinals and even, I would argue, several Spartans last night that put on a show for these scouts. And I'm sure, although they're there to see pretty much one guy, they're writing home and saying, hey, we might have something here. This might be a guy to keep your eye on in the upcoming years, whether it's at the next level or whether it's at this level. I mean, Kevin Hyde, I'm sure, was able to get some of those eyes on him last night for good reason. You know, got another guy that got some eyes last night, Junior AJ Havrilla, who actually was the guy that walked it off. He was the dude that walked it off for the Cardinals. A little avenger, a little revenge instead of avenging that loss. As Boardman walked off Canfield about a month ago at Boardman, Canfield gets their revenge at Ysn Park. And it's AJ Havrilla, a young man who has had a quietly solid year, but obviously has not carried the headlines the way that Nate Shaw and, of course, Landon Beidelshees have. Because, let's just face it, pitching has been the story of the year for the Cardinals. They've got 4 no-hitters. I don't care. What's unfortunate for the offense in those situations, in those scenarios, is that when you have a pitcher that throws a no-hitter, it doesn't matter what you did offensively. That's the headline, and that's the juice, right? That's what's going to get the squeeze. It's not going to. I mean, you could go 3 for 3 with 3 dingers, and you're probably not going to get that. It all comes down to the no-hitter, the perfecto, whatever it may be, for good reason. It doesn't happen every day. You talk about Cy Young, 1904, the first modern-day perfect game. Fast forward to 2022, and you got Landon Beidelshees with one of the last perfect games on record in the country. At any level. Not easy to do. Not easy to do at all. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about those big dogs of the Valley. Who do you have your eye on? There is 12 candidates to choose from, and I think it's going to be a close vote this week, folks. All that and more, as well as the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by our friends over at Joe Dickey Electric when we come back on the Ysn Power Hour, brought to you by these great sponsors.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring. And, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently. enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
It means the world to me to know that what we're doing is impacting people. And whether it's simply, I got to watch my son or daughter when I was out of town, or we just love watching YSN. We love what you do for our son or daughter. So whenever someone says thank you or someone is appreciative of what we're doing, it tells me everyone at YSN is doing what we initially set out to do, which is shine a light on these athletes and help them kind of promote themselves. My name's Anthony Hartwig, and my sports network is your sports network.
Yes, his name is Anthony Hartwig, and you can see him every day from 12 to 2 right here on YSN on Running Point, one of the main brains here at YSN. My guy, Anthony, does simply everything. I mean, he writes, he's on the air, he goes out and does stories, and my goodness, does he do a wonderful job at our social media. Usually when you're talking to YSN, you're either talking to Anthony or you're talking to yours truly. Sometimes a little bit of Brian sprinkled in from behind Oz's curtain. But Anthony, we could not be more appreciative of what you've done and who you've become along this ride on YSN. All right, let's get to some big dogs of the Valley. It is that time of not only season for big dogs, and one of my favorite things. And, you know, I get it. Some people like it. Some people don't. Some people absolutely loathe this. But the majority of people love this because what it does is Big Dogs of the Valley, brought to you by Baird Brothers, who we owe a ton to for giving us the confidence to do something like this, is it highlights like a player of the week type of scenario. So what we're really doing here is we're highlighting 6 players a week from softball, 6 players a week from baseball. And we do it every season. And the thing that I love most about this is the fact that even though you might not win the votes, for an entire week, you're talked about, or you're front of mind, you're top of mind, however you say that. So I think it's cool because even when you're not a winner, you're a winner because you're representing your school, and there's people that are seeing your name in lights. And just again, a little backstory to why we do this. You know, is it a popularity contest? I would argue yes. I would absolutely argue yes. But it's one of those that it doesn't mean because you're a small school doesn't mean you can't win this. You know, that's why we have an open voting system to a certain date, and then we cut it off. Is because if you want to vote, if you want to put your time in, and you want to support the kid at your school, go for it. You know, it shouldn't matter on how big your school size is, depending on the number of votes that you get. So let's kick it off with softball. Haley Croyle from Hubbard. If you haven't heard this name, this young lady, one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in our area. I heard today an interesting stat, and I'll give credit where credit's due for Ty Bartell and Anthony Hartwig on Running Point. Haley Croyle actually has a lower ERA than Sydney Watts. And Sydney Watts is electric. She is outstanding. And Haley, because probably of being at Hubbard, not getting as many games on the network, not getting as much pub in all the other media, she kind of flies under. But it's also a scenario where I think everybody's kind of grown to expect this from Haley because she's been so successful over her career at Hubbard. That's just what I think. I think Haley's success, and we see this a lot. I mean, it happened with Brungard this year, with Bo. We got so used to Bo being Bo that I think it actually hurt him his senior year in getting recognition from media. It hurt, but ask Bo, ask Haley, it doesn't matter. This stuff, it's all good. You know, it's all well and good. It's fantastic. It's they appreciate it, I'm sure. But their ultimate goal is winning championships and helping their teammates win games and being great role models. Haley Croyle is exactly that. So if you're looking to vote for somebody just based on who she is and what she's done in the past and what she's doing this year and is going at flying like an eagle under the radar, it's Haley Croyle. But if you're looking for an all-around, like Thor's hammer, all around, this next young lady from Austintown Fitch, we talk about Sid Watts. Let's talk about Maddie Taylor. Maddie, first off, I can't believe Maddie is a senior. Britt, her father, has worked with YSN for years. I remember her being a freshman and him saying that she's pretty good. And she just explodes on the scene, just hitting bombs. And not just bombs, like frozen rope bombs, majestic bombs. That's what you get in Maddie Taylor, a great young lady, the leader. And I firmly believe this. Ask Ty, ask anybody that's around that Austintown Fitch softball team. Maddie Taylor, I think, is the unheralded leader and heartbeat of that team. Just what I've heard, what I've witnessed. That cough was coming. I've been fighting it for like 3 minutes. You want to talk about unheralded leaders. You want to talk about young ladies who are doing special things. You're talking about the shortstop for the South Range Lady Raiders. You're talking about Reagan Irons, and you're talking about a young lady who has battled adversity not only in her personal life with what her family has gone through this last year or two, but you're talking about a young lady that's continuing to get it done. Continuing, like in multiple sports. The name Irons at South Range, it's almost too perfect because the last name Irons is what that family has established at South Range. Between the Irons and the Tituses. And Reagan's a perfect split of that family. Perfect 50-50 representation. And I'll tell you this, Reagan Irons, to me, and I'll scream it from the mountaintops, is a young lady who just continues to put on a brave face, even though there's so much that she could let loose about. There's so much that she could absolutely just say, I'm done here, and nobody's going to question her. But she continues to come out for her family. She continues to come out for her teammates. She continues to come out for her community. And that's why Reagan Irons, I think, is on this list this week, because she is deservedly, probably for the last 3 weeks, to be on. And she finally makes it on in week 3, where I think that she deserves it. And if you're looking for somebody to vote based on those characteristics, Reagan Irons should get your vote. Alyssa Sheely, what am I going to say about Alyssa other than great young lady, a phenomenal softball player, has a heart of gold, and she shines on the diamond like a diamond. I mean, she is the epitome of what it means to bleed green and gold. Alyssa Sheely has been a real solid player for Ursuline for years. And her family has been so supportive of YSN, but so supportive of Alyssa's hopes and dreams. And you can't meet a whole lot of better teammates than Alyssa Sheely. So if you're looking for someone to vote for based on those characteristics, Alyssa Sheely should get your vote. Here's a young lady who I'm really excited about for the future of softball in this area, Caitlin Pleska of Columbiana, breaking home run records last night, an absolute beast on the diamond in the circle, and just between she and Tori Long. And I think that was because it was interesting because she and Tori Long both got nominated, and it was not from Columbiana, which is why it was so tough to choose. But based on what she did this week and last week, Caitlin Pleska hitting, again, breaking home run records last night, but also gets it done in the circle, one of the best pitchers in the area. And she resides in Clipper country. So she's not getting a ton of spin down there. The paper is going to cover a little bit, but again, the reason we're here is because the paper wasn't doing what the paper's supposed to do, right? That's why we're doing write-ups. Because if you remember right, we didn't do a whole lot of write-ups in the early going, but I digress. Caitlin Pleska up for Big Dog of the Valley for softball. Again, one of the younger candidates on this roster, and to me, the future is softball in this area. The future between she and this next young lady, McCullough from Springfield. I think it's Hallie McCullough. I'm gonna go to my expert. What are we gonna do here? What are we gonna? Yeah, it's Hallie. It's Hallie. Spelled like, and this is it always gets me because you can spell Haley and Hallie in 70 different ways, but Hallie McCullough has come onto the scene and exploded onto the scene. This young lady is an absolute, and Anthony Hartwig is the guy that really pushed on this one. And I think it's for a multitude of different reasons, but Springfield has come on lately, and Hallie's a real big reason because of it. And why they're coming on. It's because her expertise in the circle, she is just a craftsman. A craftsman. She paints the corner. She is like Magellan because she goes north, south, east, and west. You tell her where you can find a weakness. You look at the hot zones, the heat zones for hitters now, and you can just dial it up. Hallie McCullough is that pitcher that will absolute just 1,000 paper cuts to get what she wants. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. That is your lineup. So we go Croyle, Taylor, Irons, Sheely, Pleska, and McCullough all up for vote on ysnlive.com/big dogs right now. Voting again ends on Monday. Let's get over to the gentleman, where we're going to start with a young man from Howland. Braden Gebhart is a strong left-handed pitcher. And I'll tell you where I first heard of Geb is sitting next to Mark Roth in Austintown. This was actually before we got Howland on the roster in the family here at YSN. And what's interesting to me is you didn't hear much, and then almost as if, when you're not paying attention, like when you're not looking for a red car, you don't see a red car on the road, but then you see a red car, like, hey, I'd really like to see what a red car, and then you see them all. That was what it was like for me with Braden Gebhart, because when I heard his name and I saw him pitch, I was blown away. Strong lefty. I think he gets up to from 83 to 86 with his fastball, something like that. He's just a generational talent, and I believe he's committed to Youngstown State. So, like that night, we saw Braden pitch, and it was like the next day, and every day thereafter, I've heard stories about Braden Gebhart and how his talent, his character, the way he handles himself, the way he introduces himself, all of that has come to fruition and to my attention here at YSN, which is what we want. We don't just want good players and student athletes on this. We want good people. We want people that represent their community and will be people we talk about for a long time, not just giving a shirt to somebody, but your character goes into it, which is why Braden Gebhart is one of those guys that gets on this list here this week in week 3 for Howland and for the big dogs of the Valley. Let's go to Brock Young. What can't we say about the Brock star? What can't we say? I mean, he's supposed to be a guy that gets it done, with his leadership, which he did in basketball, stepped into a leadership position, played point guard when he didn't have the body type necessarily to run point. He stepped in for his team and did a wonderful job. Won some really big games, including one against West Branch as that point guard. Cared not about how many points he put up, but how many dubs he put up. And here he is again. But it's almost the opposite. It's, Coach, I'll take the ball if you want to win. I'll take the ball when you need to win. And Brock Young, as Salem had their 12-game winning streak snapped last night against Louisville, was a big, big part of that 12-game winning streak and a big part of what they're going to do in the playoffs on the bounce back. He pitched a gem against South Range, and people were sitting there, I've been waiting for South Range to fall off, and they're not really the team that, like, even on our own network, I hear people, South Range isn't putting up enough runs, and South Range isn't doing it. Shush. I'm not going to sit here and defend South Range, but I'm not going to sit here and say that it wasn't impressive that Brock Young won a complete game and got the dub against one of the best teams on the network. And at that time, I believe they were undefeated. And if it wasn't undefeated, they only had a loss. So Brock Young deserves attention, and he deserves a vote from you for Salem. Here's a young man. Again, we try to get Louisville a little bit more attention. Try to get them pumped up. Try to get them all the pub we possibly can. Young man, Charlie Roberts. This guy is a stud, absolute stud, multi-sport athlete, plays basketball, plays football, plays baseball. Baseball is probably, arguably, his best sport. And he's out there just shining, plugging in, being that any kind of like utility knife type player out in Louisville. The Leopards, they are quietly having themselves a pretty decent season. And people are going to look at their record and they're going to go, I'm telling you, similar to some of the teams that we have, similar to a JFK, Louisville's playing some tough teams. They don't have a conference. So they've got to put together a schedule of a gauntlet because they're not playing for a conference title. They're not playing for, sounds familiar, doesn't it? Sounds familiar. Two teams like that I can remember right off the top of my head, both won state championships. South Range in 18, or in JFK 2021. Look out for Louisville. Look out for them. They beat Boardman. They beat Salem. And they've got a couple other notches on their belt as well. Look out for Louisville when it comes playoff time. I'm telling you. And Charlie Roberts, well, he's just the straw that stirs the drink. Louisville, vote up for Charlie. Get Chuck to be the big dog of the Valley. Stevie Rowan is a young man who I cannot talk highly enough about. Stevie Rowan, one of the absolute nicest kids, comes from one of the best families. His dad, I'm such a fan of Stevie. I'm such a fan of his dad, such a fan of the entire family. I played Rowans, and we talked about irons in South Range, Rowans in South Range. That's baseball royalty. That's baseball royalty, pure and simple. If you were going up against a Rowan on any given night, it was, you might as well just pack it up. Just put your bat back in your bag. Don't worry about it. Keep your sandals on. And Stevie's not any different. This kid's going to Walsh to play baseball at the next level. highly touted school, especially around here, just absolutely collecting local talent. And they know that Stevie is a feather in their cap because they're Cavaliers. Get it? A big part of this team and the success of South Range in the early going and midway through this year. And more than just what he puts in the box score, it's what he puts into his teammates, the faith, the confidence that he passes to his guys. Could not tell you all the times that Stevie has stepped into really a little bit of chicken, you know what, and made South Range come out smelling like chicken salad and looking like chicken salad. He's that guy. He can get you out of a jam with his glove, with his elite arm, his capability to be able to go. And he's playing the hot corner. That is, in high school baseball, the third base position is probably the absolute least valued position by the general public and most valued position outside of a pitcher and a catcher on a baseball diamond by a coach. If you've got someone who can't cover or doesn't have range at third base, you're toast. You're toast because they're gonna abuse you. They're gonna turn on everything, and anything that's fair is going to be a double. Can't do that against South Range. You got glove love over there and Stevie Rowan, and it ain't going very far. South Range, vote for your guy, vote for Stevie Rowan this week on the Baird Brothers Big Dogs of the Valley. Mark Bunch, you want to talk about generational talents, multi-sport athletes. Mark Bunch of Mineral Ridge is that guy. He is your quarterback. He is your main man, and he is tossing no-hitters left and right as well. He is a dude. I know I've said it already. He is a dude. Mark Bunch is another one of those guys who, if you have never seen him pitch, it's like watching Picasso paint portraits. He is brilliant. Love watching this kid pitch. Love hearing great stories about the young man that he is in the community, in his school, not just from a leadership perspective, but being able to give back. And I've heard he's a great teammate, always picking his friends up, always picking his teammates up. That's what you want out of a leader. And that's exactly what Mark Bunch is. So Mineral Ridge, hey, Rams Nation, get out there and vote for Mark Bunch. And finally, last but not least, it is my dude, a guy that came on earlier this week. Would not let him be overpassed this time and overshadowed by anybody. It is Nate Shaw from Canfield. Nate now has 2 no-hitters. First one was a combined no-hitter with Jake Gerdick. The second one was a all-buys lonesome. All-buys lonesome, was able to step in and deal. And not only does Nate get it done on the bump, but he also gets it done at the dish. He's the 5-hole hitter for the Canfield Cardinals, which the reason he's there is if you're going to pitch around Beitelshees, if you're going to pitch around Havrilla, you get to deal with Shaw, a Division I Wright State commit. You can't walk them all. And that's the thing. And the funniest thing about last night and doing that Boardman and Canfield game was Donnie Riccatelli just continued to talk about how none of the Cardinals skip leg day. And Nate Shaw is the guy, and we talked about it on his interview, he's the guy that when things are down, when things are maybe not at their best, Nate Shaw is the guy that's going to send the entire group, no matter who's in it, a text message. He's going to send a text message. Nate Shaw was sending me text messages last night, pumping me up, like getting me motivated. How can you not love an athlete like that? How can you not love a student athlete that gets you fired up and motivates you? Canfield, nest up. Let's go. Let's get Nate Shaw a little recognition on this week's Baird Brothers Big Dogs of the Valley. That is your roster for the Big Dogs. Let's go down one more time. The guys' side of it. Gebhardt from Howland. You've got Brock Young from Salem. Charlie Roberts from Louisville. Stevie Rowan from South Range. From Middle Ridge, you got Mark Bunch. And from Canfield, you got Nate Shaw. Those are your Big Dogs of the Valley. And voting ends on Monday. It's because it's Mother's Day on Sunday. Make sure you get your mud or something nice, maybe some flowers, a bouquet. Let's insert commercial here. See, there could be a bouquet right there, and I could be selling 1-800-Flowers or something like that. So if you want a flower shop, we can do a deal. Father's Day's coming too. We can get something going there. Coolers, kegs, something like that. I don't know. Talk to some of my friends over. You know who I need to talk to is Troy Sauerline. That'd be a good Father's Day plug. I'll be calling you, Troy. Don't worry. Let's clean up the comments here. Nikki C says, notable fact about Brock, he's a team captain for football, basketball, and baseball teams. I mean, I don't even have words for that. How can you not just... Does that ever happen? And Salem's not a small school. Salem's not small at all. That usually happens at like Al Bundy, right? It happens when you got 12 people in your class. That's not Salem. That's impressive. Brock Young continues to impress. Let's get to wrapping up this show, and let's get to the Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark? Also want to give an update on the bee. It's dead. So in case you were wondering, for my safety, I made it through it live. I made it through. I defeated the bee. He's gone. He's a goner, folks. Thanks for having the faith in me. Today's spark is just really how great it is. You know, last night I was at scene 3. My buddy Andrew Fallett to the right of me, my buddy Donnie Riccatelli to the left of me, and all around me were people that wanted to watch good baseball. 2 communities, people that weren't even, I mean, there was Austintown was represented, Canfield, obviously, Borman, obviously. I saw Louisville and Columbiana. I'm trying to think of all the different places that I saw representation for, and that's why I love this place. And Andrew made and if you know Andrew Fallett, you know that he is a wild card, right? So Andrew made a comment last night that really stuck with me, and he said, I love seeing these 2 teams play because they bring out people from all over. And he said it how only Andrew can say it, but I will tell you this, it made me think about what he was trying to get across. I love when I see, and Scene Park is one of those places that I feel like the world comes together. Like when you go to Scene Park, it's a place where you're never surprised. You're never surprised. I love you, Mark. You're never surprised who you see there, right? There's places where you go and like you go to Walmart and you're almost stunned to run into somebody that you know. If like I was in Myrtle Beach and I ran into somebody I knew in Myrtle Beach Walmart, could not believe it, like was stunned, was like mentally not prepared for it. Scene, you go there and you're prepared. You're prepared to run into Steve Leslie. You're prepared to run into a Bob Beam. You're prepared to run into a Red Baker. You're prepared to run into Tim Joyce and Andrew Fallett, that whole family of goofs at Scene Park. But I'll tell you this is, I love when I go to Scene Park and it's full. I love going to baseball games and there's people out there watching with me. And it has nothing to do with us. And that's fine. We don't listen. Like umpires, we don't necessarily want the attention. We just want to show up, do our job, and bolt and go back to our lives. But I will say this is, when you go out to a baseball game or you go out to a football game or you go out and you see the support for these athletes, there's something special about that on so many different levels. There's something special about that because we've become such a look at your phones, you know, for 9 hours a day society. And obviously with the happenings of today, a society that doesn't necessarily care to care about each other. So when you hear the cheers, when you hear the investment, not always great, when it comes to umpires, but at the same time, it's an investment nonetheless. That gets me fired up. It gets me fired up and excited. It's back, man. It's back. Our country's coming back, and you know the pandemic is slowly sneaking out the back door. So keep on doing that. Keep on showing up. Keep on showing up, and not just at ball games. Just keep on showing up in every day. Best advice, some of the best advice I've ever got is just keep on showing up because that's half the battle. That's going to do it for our show today. Thanks for tuning in. So appreciative of all of you for the support and the love that you've shown, not only this past week, but for the past 5 years. Can't wait to get back to it tomorrow on the next Power Hour, 3 to 4, right here tomorrow, Friday, finishing off the week. We'll see you then. Ysn thanks